on a night on SmackDown where we had a championship clash, and we had Miss TV, and we had the woman revolving, because SmackDown was the place to see. Okay, this may not have been the best SmackDown we've seen since the draft, but I'll tell you what, it didn't take a whole hell of a lot for this show to be better than Monday Night Raw was last night. As a matter of fact, any show on TV, any show on Netflix, Barney the Dinosaur was better than Monday Night. Mr. Rogers was better than Monday Night Raw last night, okay? Monday Night Raw last night was just a waste of valuable time. Time that I'm glad that I didn't give full attention to, because I for the first time in a long time, viewers, as a dedicated and driven fan that I am, I couldn't do it. I mean, because you have, listen, you come off such a tremendous high, such a big high, right, with TLC, with what SmackDown produced, with what everything they put into that show. You know, the confliction, the confusion, the championship outings, the ladders, the brutality, the physicality, everything that went into TLC and made it such a great show from top to bottom. It stood out on so many levels, and, you know, SmackDown Live is just doing great things. I mean, everyone across the board is pretty much saying that SmackDown is beating Raw, but yet Raw comes up in the ratings just because it's been around longer, and Raw is a staple in WWE. And that's fine. I'll give the devil its due. But the viewers and the subscribers need to know one thing, and that one thing right now, that one constant, is that SmackDown consists of a flow, a strategy, a plot, and, you know, the plot thickens. Because, ladies and gentlemen, tonight the plot thickened with James Ellsworth, who came out and wanted a shot, an opportunity at AJ Styles' WWE World Heavyweight title. But AJ Styles would come out, and this isn't a storyline, this isn't a fake, this isn't a facade. Viewers and subscribers, AJ Styles is legitimately 100% hurt. Not only his back is injured, but also a high ankle sprain is prohibiting him from wrestling James Ellsworth in the main event tonight for the WWE title. Now, of course, James Ellsworth would question the injury. He would question the credibility and whether or not maybe AJ Styles just scared, and that, you know, AJ Styles knows that James Ellsworth has the number. James Ellsworth has the number of AJ Styles because he's beat him 3 times already. And that's why AJ Styles doesn't want to step anywhere in the ring with James Ellsworth. And then, of course, AJ Styles comes back with, "You are delusional, and I don't think you understand what you've gotten yourself into with Dean Ambrose." Then out comes Dean Ambrose. Ambrose comes out to the ring, makes a beeline, doesn't talk, doesn't say much at all. As a matter of fact, doesn't say one word, for Ambrose to hit the ring and hit dirty deeds, not on AJ Styles, but on James Ellsworth. Lays out Ellsworth, and Ellsworth was looking up at the lights. So Dean Ambrose gets one over, but is that it? I mean, after being screwed, after being humiliated, after being shocked, is that all we're going to see, is just Ambrose come out and hit a dirty deeds? Is that the end of this program? Well, ladies and gentlemen, maybe there's more to this than meets the eye, because viewers and subscribers, the match was off. It's canceled. So we're wondering, maybe we're going to get Ellsworth versus Dean Ambrose later on. But no, the story would turn around. That's what many would lead you to think. And that's where SmackDown can take you on some twists and turns, because sometimes you just don't know where SmackDown is going to go. And that's where Monday Night Raw used to be. Monday Night Raw used to be a show that was entertaining and that you didn't know what was going to, happen from one moment to the next. But on a show like Monday Night Raw these days, and the way that the show's written and the creative and the insight, I don't know how much insight's behind it, but with the backing that SmackDown has, SmackDown actually, is a show that flows consistently, not only because the fact it's not 3 hours, it's a 2-hour show, so the layout, the formula to be used is not overly dramatic, and stick to something simple, something the fans can follow, something the fans can get interested in, unlike Monday Night Raw. So then, ladies and gentlemen, we would have Carmella come out. Carmella doing a little promo talking about how it was Natalya that attacked her. Now, this leads to the match, Natalya versus Carmella, but this match never really got underway. The match never really started because it was Natalya that would chase Carmella out of the ring, but then Carmella would lead Natalya backstage, and Natalya would be face-to-face with Nikki Bella. Now, remember, Carmella said that it was Natalya that attacks Nikki Bella at Survivor Series, costing her to not be a part of Survivor Series, one of the most historic pay-per-views in WWE history, especially on a night where it was a multi-man, multi-tag team match, a night where Survivor Series truly went back to its original formula, and Nikki Bella was not able to be a part of that. So Nikki Bella and, Natalya were eyeing each other, and it looked like Nikki Bella was almost believing what Carmella was saying. It almost looked like, the wheels were in motion and the wheels were turning in Nikki Bella's head, but she didn't attack her. Instead, she just looked at her, she gave her this look, and she went the other way. So, but Natalya looked a little shaken up. She looked a little conflicted. She looked like, she could have done this. She could have attacked Nikki Bella. So, the WWE is keeping us watching with that storyline. That's the thing. There's a lot of storylines on SmackDown, and that's what I like. You don't have to see these long, drawn-out 30, 40-minute matches or 20, 30-minute... Listen, that's what pay-per-views are for, to get the 20, 30-minute matches, the 15-minute matches. At least SmackDown, progresses on each and every level in terms of, they get just enough wrestling, just enough promos, and just enough storytelling. And that's why I like SmackDown so much and think it's above and beyond. And like I said, if Monday Night Raw could adapt, and if Monday Night Raw could learn a thing or two from SmackDown, that's what I'm trying to get out of it. That's what I'm trying to say here on Sean's View Entertainment. But not only that, viewers and subscribers, not only that, we saw some action in the ring tonight. We saw more than just promo work, which there was a little bit more promo work than usual, but that's okay. That's all right, like I said, because we had Miz TV, which led... And I'll tell you what, The Miz was really getting underneath Dean Ambrose's skin tonight. The Miz was really angering Dean Ambrose. The Miz was really trying to, make Dean Ambrose go even more into lunatic mode, fringe, than we've ever seen before, okay? And I don't know how much more lunatic fringe you can get Dean Ambrose after losing the WWE title due to James Ellsworth, but on Miz TV, that's exactly where we got, where Ambrose was about to go all out on The Miz until Daniel Bryan came down. Daniel Bryan comes down and says, you know what, Dean Ambrose, you're not going to hit The Miz. You are not going to fight The Miz, because tonight, ladies and gentlemen, in the main event, you are going to go against The Miz in a match, but not just any match, a match for the WWE Intercontinental title. That's right, The Miz versus Dean Ambrose. And after the tactics and the antics that The Miz used on Miz TV, now Dean Ambrose can get a little measure of revenge, so to speak, in this match. Now Ambrose loses on Sunday due to James Ellsworth, loses a chance to become WWE Champion, now has an opportunity to rebound and become Intercontinental Champion once again. Now Ambrose has went down this line before. We've seen this where Ambrose had a run with the IC title. He did an okay job with it. Once again, it's not all Ambrose's fault that he's become steel, and it's not all Ambrose's fault that the fans are almost seeming like they're turning on them, seemingly. The fans were really on for Ellsworth tonight. They were on for AJ Styles, but the fans, like, they're in between. I think they're stuck in between with Ambrose. Some like him, some hate him. I mean, it's not to the degree of hate of, like, of a John Cena or criticism or the kind of reaction. But still, I think fans are a little bit divided on Dean Ambrose as of late, which is okay because, that sort of thing kind of happens. And viewers and subscribers, if you like reviews, all you can do is like, comment, share, and subscribe. Remember, this is your undisputed #1 destination for all rumors, news, and headlines in WWE, where I work around the clock, no days off, no room for sleep, nothing like that of that sort, where I just talk and I rant. And remember, the WWE news shoot, where I don't just give you the news, but I shoot on the news. What I thought about the news. Did I like the news? Was I for it? Was I in the middle? Was I on the fence about it? And then, ladies and gentlemen, we had an Alexa Bliss celebration. A blissful celebration. She said that she was going to roll into TLC. She was going to win the Women's Championship, and that's exactly what she did. She rolled in, she dominated, she had a strategy, she had a plan, and it was orchestrated very well because she did defeat Becky Lynch for that WWE Smackdown Women's title. There was no denying that, so the celebration was out in full form, and you know what? You got to give it to one Becky Lynch. She gave it a hell of an effort, but you know what? The better girl won on that night, and Becky Lynch, at the end of the day, let herself down. She says she let her fans down. But, ladies and gentlemen, Alexa Bliss is having her moment. This is her time to shine. It is her time to develop. The skill is there. The exact story is also there as to who will challenge Alexa Bliss next. Will it be Nikki Bella? But then you get this whole Nikki Bella Natalya thing going on. So will someone else, maybe Naomi, who else is going to step up to face the SmackDown Women's Champion? Or is Becky Lynch going to get another chance, another opportunity to go one-on-one with the SmackDown Women's Champion. She said she doesn't ask for much from the company, which she doesn't. She's got a point, okay? But all in all, viewers and subscribers, this SmackDown had, just that right amount of push to keep you watching. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it wasn't the best of SmackDowns. It wasn't the worst, but a hell of a lot, a huge improvement. I mean, at least they progressed from TLC. The WWE rolling in to see exactly what's going to be happening. Obviously, nothing major you would expect to happen because it is the end of the year. Now we're going to roll into the Royal Rumble. Once January comes around, then the WWE is really going to pick up big time. And I think that's where the WWE starts to stumble. I think they think, well, it's the end of the year, so now we're going to kind of lay low. We're not going to go, out, all out. We're going to kind of keep things kind of with a strategic formula, and we don't want no injuries. We don't want no guys getting banged up. I mean, AJ Styles is already banged up. AJ Styles is already injured. We don't have John Cena right now. We had to bring in Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. But above that, we also saw American Alpha was also in action tonight. We also saw tag team action with the Hype Bros versus the Dissension, which, well, we call them the Ascension, but it's the Dissension, or is it a decline ascension? I don't know. I mean, these guys, they're trying to switch up their look. They're trying to switch up their makeup, their vendetta. But it's not working. It's still not getting over for some reason or another. It's just fluttering. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know why, but it's just not clicking. I mean, these guys used to be so over. These guys used to be so powerful. They used to be so unique. They used to be so diverse. They used to be such a threat in the tag team division, and now they've come nothing more than what some would say is a laughingstock. And once again, that's not on them. That's not on them. It's just on the booking, the creativity. It's like a Dean Ambrose ordeal that we got going on. But, you got a pretty good mix tonight between promos and matches and in-ring work. I mean, I like I said, SmackDown, hell of a lot better, hell of a lot more watchable than what Raw was, okay? When you have to shut Raw off, when you hear about fans who were leaving the building before Raw ended, is how bad it was. That's when you know things need to adjust. That's when you know things need to change. But once again, the WWE rather just say, yeah, you know what? But then you know what? No, that's not an excuse. You can't use that as an excuse. Oh, it's the end of the year. WWE's laying low. They don't really care. They're not putting it in the flow. They're not really thinking outside the box. No, because WWE Raw has had this consistency about them for a long time now, where they're just not booking correctly, where they're not working correctly. Listen, my hat's off to the guys and girls who bust their ass in that ring every night in and night out, live events and all. But I mean, when you look at SmackDown and Raw, they're two totally different programs, and the WWE is making that known. But it should be two totally different programs, but one should be good and the other should be good, but in its own right. They should both have their pluses. They should both have their positives. But for some reason or another, ladies and gentlemen, Monday Night Raw just cannot get out of the I don't even know what they're in a rut. Monday Night Raw is in a rut, and SmackDown is rising to the cream of the crop. SmackDown is the supreme right now. And Alexa Bliss came down to the ring in style. I got to mention this. Came down to the ring in style. And the fans actually were on her side. Some had cheers, but of course Alexa Bliss, she's into herself. She doesn't care what the fans have to say. She doesn't care what you have to think. Alexa Bliss holding up that championship with the fireworks going off. And it was definitely a moment for Alexa Bliss. She deserved this moment. She earned this moment, and this was her right and her way. And that was pretty much it, viewers and subscribers, for Alexa Bliss, who did everything. Here's the thing about Alexa Bliss. She does everything she says she's going to do. She says she's going to win a title. She says she's going to win a match. She does it, and she does not back down. She says that when she tapped out and her leg was on that rope, when she had to tap out because she didn't want her arm broke because the referee was an incompetent referee, and it's not her fault. The match had to stop, but of course, as the celebration was going on for the women's champion, out would come Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch ruining the celebration and ruin the moment. And I mean, at this time, you can pretty much figure out that Becky Lynch is not going to win this unless we're going to have a back and forth rivalry where the title is like a hot potato, like between like Sasha Banks and Charlotte. Let's hope that SmackDown, look, if there's anything that SmackDown is going to copy from Raw, they don't have to copy anything. If anything, Raw should be copying from SmackDown to a degree, but they should be switching up the formula and adding different spices. But let's just hope this isn't one. And listen, I have no problem seeing a rematch. I have no problem seeing a rematch. But if it's going to be back and forth and back, no. I mean, we see that enough on Monday Night Raw between Charlotte and Sasha Banks. We do not need to see that again. So hopefully this is not something that's going to go on. But an interesting scenario being built up here, not only with James Ellsworth and Dean Ambrose and what happened in the Intercontinental title match, but you see the rivalry developing. You see it formating between The Miz and Dean Ambrose. That will be your next big feud, and I'm sure the WWE is going to make it interesting, and I'm sure the WWE is going to make it fascinating, because that's what SmackDown is. It is SmackDown. It's good stuff. I wouldn't go as far to say it's as good as when it was in the Attitude Era SmackDown from 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 5, 6, 7. I mean, SmackDown, like I said, has had its moments, and it's definitely delivered more than Monday Night Raw could ever. So that's the thing about SmackDown viewers and subscribers. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, I think it had a good balance, a good flow. Like I said, I already said it, between matches and promos and even backstage. The way, and the announcers tonight were okay. I mean, it was, for a man announced team, I'm not too favorable towards it, but it was okay. It was all right. This SmackDown, though, on the show and view scale, between the main event for the Intercontinental title between The Miz and Dean Ambrose, and you had Maurice involved, and you had everything and all these intangibles, and then we had almost an immediate showdown. I'll tell you what, one thing I forgot to mention, an immediate showdown with Alexa Bliss and Becky Lynch. It looked like it was going to happen. I mean, Alexa Bliss took that jacket off, and she got right out of that ring, and she says, no, I'm not fighting tonight. I'm smarter than that. I'm going to fight on my own terms. I'm going to fight on my own time. We thought there was going to be an epic explosion between Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss. We thought the match was going to happen, and Becky Lynch said, it's my time. I'm going to get that title back. It's just a matter of time. Well, we're going to see if it's just a matter of time. Was it really luck, or is it the fact that, well, Alexa Bliss is just that much more better? Is that much more confident? Is that much more cunning and able, more stable to do what she says she's going to do, night in and night out? So viewers and subscribers, on a scale, a rating, Monday Night Raw, I give it from a 1 to a 10 because it's a 3-hour show. But since SmackDown's only a 2-hour show, viewers and subscribers, I give SmackDown tonight, like I said, there was good balance tonight. That's what I'd say. I would say it was a well-balanced show, and a show that I didn't actually tune out. I actually kept the course, and I stayed through it, and I kept watching. Hey, Kalisto, we also had, Kalisto, can't forget Kalisto, one-on-one with Baron Corbin. Kalisto thought he had everything well in hand. Kalisto thought that he could overcome it, but not tonight. Baron Corbin shut him down real quick. Baron Corbin is a force to be reckoned with, and you can see where the WWE is going with Baron Corbin as well, which is okay. I have no problem with that. No problem with The Miz and Dean Ambrose going at it. I mean, like I said, we have seen Ambrose compete for the Intercontinental title multiple times before, but now it's The Miz and Ambrose, because where else is The Miz going to go now? Where else is Ambrose going to go? Obviously, I don't think they're going to have Ambrose and Styles continue, and now it's on to move on to something bigger and better. And like I said, you can see the transformation taking place and the development. So, ladies and gentlemen, your comments and your opinions on SmackDown, though. I'd give SmackDown out of 5 stars. I'd say 3.5 out of 5 stars. You've heard me say that a lot in the past. 3.5. How about a solid 3 out of 5? No, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. You know what? No, I'm gonna bounce that up. I'll give it 4 out of 5 tonight, just because we had another match for the Intercontinental title in the main event, which The Miz did not like. The Miz was not happy about whatsoever. And why would The Miz be happy about having to defend his Intercontinental title? But hey, Dean Ambrose went through hell at TLC. He put his body through a TLC match. The Miz put his body through brutality in a ladder match. So it all, so 4 out of 5 stars for SmackDown. Your comments, your opinion. Share this video on Facebook and Twitter for more reviews of Raw and SmackDown each and every week here on Show and View, where I work around the clock every single day, multiple times in a day on news, rumors, headlines. Subscribe. Click that bell below today.